They never planned to wake up with thoughts of you filling their mind so completely. This is the first thing you truly need to understand. Most people are too weak to face what they have pushed deep down using all their strength and willpower over time. Intensity has already taken hold of them because staying indifferent works quietly in a way that is hard to notice right at the start. But this situation was not quiet at all in reality. It became a real fight they had been losing even when their eyes stayed shut and the world around them appeared completely calm on the surface. You sensed it yourself, right? There was that small shift in that hidden flow of energy, like something very important was growing quietly just beneath their steady appearance. It was not really about distance or mixed signals at all, but something far more serious instead. This involved a true awareness of what was happening deep within them without any doubt. If you want the full truth about how someone secretly fights their strong feelings for you, hit like right now. People do not welcome their emotions when those feelings first begin to appear. Instead, they push them away hard and question them from every possible angle. They hide the emotions beneath many reasons, their ego and the strong walls they have carefully built over many years. Because what they feel for you does not match the image of themselves they are trying so hard to keep intact every single day. This conflict is where things start to become risky and truly difficult for them. The stronger a feeling challenges their pride, the harder they try to push it down even more forcefully than before. This process is what experts like Freud called repression, which is the mind's natural way of hiding desires that feel unacceptable. But repression is not simply about forgetting feelings completely. It creates steady pressure that keeps building up inside them over time. And pressure always finds its own way out eventually, no matter how much someone tries to hold it back. Most people do not understand this important fact until it becomes too late for easy changes. What they refused to accept yesterday slowly becomes the force that controls their thoughts and actions today without them fully realizing it. That is exactly why this morning felt so different from all other normal days. It was not because something new started out of nowhere. It happened because something finally broke apart inside them, and you were not there to witness that deeply private collapse of their denial. This hidden breakdown was never a spoken confession or a direct message, but a moment where all their usual ways to escape failed them completely. Comment awakened if you have ever been the person they could not stop thinking about in the morning during that heavy silence. Their usual distractions disappeared and you appeared not simply as an old memory, but as a powerful and unavoidable truth. Attraction is easily set aside and curiosity can be brushed off without much effort. But when something carries real emotional weight, the mind begins to crack open. They were forced to face a deep question they had avoided for a very long time. Why do you affect them so strongly? They tried to answer using only cold logic, telling themselves the feeling was temporary and meant nothing serious. They used every label possible. Coincidence, simple chemistry, or passing circumstances, holding on to anything except the real truth they feared most. The actual truth is that you do not struggle to explain away something that carries no real importance. You do not fight against something that does not exist, nor do you try to bury feelings that lack true depth. Every attempt they made to remove you from their thoughts only made your image clearer and stronger over time. Every distraction they used fell apart exactly when they needed it most. This is not a sign of weakness, but the unavoidable pull of what is truly happening between you two. They did not want something they could not fully control. They wanted to keep full power over their own emotions and decisions at every single step. You came in and disturbed that careful balance they had created for themselves over many years. You became the one factor they could not figure out or solve easily. You turned into the emotion they could not predict and the presence they could not remove no matter how hard they tried. That loss of control is what truly scared them deep inside. It was not really about you as a person, but about what you had awakened within their own heart and mind. You did not just create a small stir in their life. You brought something to life that they could not manage on their own. And people do not fear emotions as much as they fear losing full command over themselves. This explains why they pulled away suddenly and why their behavior became so inconsistent and hard to read. Their energy felt scattered, not because they cared too little, but because they felt far more than they could handle comfortably. Feeling this much requires making a clear decision, and they were simply not ready for that step yet. Avoidance is never a sign that desire is absent. It proves the desire is strong enough to create war within. Their inner struggle started to take over as the conscious mind told them to stay safe behind logical walls, while the subconscious kept bringing you back. It rebuilt your presence in their thoughts during quiet moments, exactly where their usual distractions faded away. They began to notice that you were not disappearing from their mind over time as they had hoped. Instead, your image was becoming clearer, sharper, and almost impossible to ignore. Denial needs space and distance to survive, but your influence grew stronger every day, even without any physical closeness between you. Once a feeling moves from simple doubt into deep subconscious certainty, it stops asking for approval and starts demanding full attention. That exact turning point arrived for them this morning in a quiet but powerful way, stripped of all comfort. Type breaking. If you know exactly what it feels like when their denial finally collapses without loud chaos or dramatic noise. It arrived as a silent, overwhelming wave that left them standing completely exposed to the truth. Their walls did not fall from an outside attack. They crumbled from the sheer weight of what was hidden inside. Yet it shook them more deeply than any open confession possibly could have, because the truth was not spoken out loud for others to hear. It was simply understood on a level that cannot be undone once accepted. You can mislead other people around you and even fool yourself for some time. But once the mind truly accepts something important, it refuses to release that knowledge without a fight. They now know the truth completely and not in a partial or unclear way anymore. Acceptance does not bring instant calm or peace to the situation. It actually creates new chaos because they must now face everything they had been carefully avoiding before this moment. They have to consider what this feeling really means for their future, how it will change their life, what it requires from them, and especially what they might lose if they keep ignoring it. Feelings of this strength do not stay neutral for long. They grow, become more powerful, and keep moving forward steadily. Right now, they stand at the edge of all that built-up pressure, trying their best to hold on to their sense of control while everything beneath them keeps shifting rapidly. This experience was never only about you as an individual person. It was mainly about the deeper parts of themselves that you helped bring to life fully. That inner awakening is still continuing and has not reached its end yet. They thought that accepting the feelings would make everything quieter and easier to handle. They were wrong, because admitting the truth this morning did not settle the storm inside them at all. It simply gave the storm a clear name. Once something has a name, it becomes much harder to run away from. Simple awareness does not weaken the intensity of emotions. It actually makes them sharper and turns unclear feelings into solid and undeniable reality. That new reality started pressing against them almost immediately. They can no longer pretend that nothing is happening or that it will pass on its own. Every thought now carries extra weight. Every memory feels purposeful, and every quiet moment feels filled with tension. When the mind loses its ability to deny something real, it begins to divide into opposing parts. One side moves closer toward you while the other side fights hard to pull away, and neither part is willing to surrender easily. This is not ordinary confusion, but a real internal division between strong desire and strong self-protection at the same time. Both forces are growing more powerful because what they feel for you has gone beyond simple attraction. It is moving closer to a form of emotional attachment that is taking shape inside them deeply. Attachment feels threatening to anyone who is scared of losing personal control over their life and choices. Most people fail to notice this deeper process happening around them. The stronger the emotional current becomes, the more their mental defenses rise up to protect them. That is why, after they recognized their true feelings, they did not move forward right away. They paused, overthought, and analyzed everything carefully from all sides. They overthought simple things that once felt completely natural because those things now carried heavy importance and possible risk. Anything that carries real weight starts to feel like a potential threat to their freedom, to their sense of self, and to the personal image they have worked hard to build. You do not fear things you do not value. This creates a strong contradiction that becomes impossible for them to ignore any longer. The very same feeling that pulls them closer is also pushing them back at the same time, creating constant inner tension that drains energy. That ongoing contradiction follows them into every part of daily life. It enters ordinary moments that once felt normal because now everything carries a quiet echo of you, even when it is not direct. Comment pressure if you felt someone suppressing strong feelings for you. A certain tone of voice, a short pause, or a specific kind of silence can suddenly bring them back to thoughts of you in ways they did not choose. The subconscious part of their mind holds on tighter because it does not follow any schedule set by them. You have crossed that important line, which means you are no longer something optional in their thoughts or feelings. Now they must face the difficult question they have avoided for so long. Why you specifically out of all people in the world? Why does your presence affect them in this unique and powerful way that stands out? The more they search for logical answers, the less sense it seems to make. This connection was never built on easy convenience or simple circumstances. It cannot be reduced to one basic reason alone. It comes from something much deeper, rooted in genuine recognition that feels both unchosen and impossible to avoid. If this connection is truly real, then it requires something important from them, including action, openness, and personal exposure, which they have avoided for many years. So they try to delay and create more distance to slow down what is already speeding up inside their minds. Distance does not weaken a real emotional bond. It actually makes the bond stronger because it removes all outside distractions. When those distractions disappear, only the pure truth remains, and that truth is growing louder instead of fading with time. They feel this clearly in how their thoughts keep returning to you without warning. They feel it in sudden emotions that rise up during the day, and they feel it in the way something deep inside refuses to become calm no matter how much effort they put into controlling it. Suppression keeps failing them over and over again. Real tension is now taking hold because they are fully aware of the feelings yet still resist them actively every day. They sense the truth yet keep questioning it, and they recognize its power yet avoid carrying its full weight. This creates ongoing inner pressure that never fully goes away. It keeps building and tightening until something has to break under the strain. They are not only fighting against the feeling itself, they are also struggling with what that feeling reveals about their own hidden needs and fears. What they feel for you shows a deep craving to connect with someone meaningful, the longing to be truly understood and seen, and the fear of letting themselves be affected so strongly by another person. Being affected deeply means opening up to vulnerability, and vulnerability requires giving up some control, which makes them very uncomfortable. So they keep moving back and forth between leaning closer emotionally and pulling away mentally for safety. One moment they imagine positive possibilities, and the next they tell themselves it is too complicated or risky. This back and forth is not random, but serves as a protective shield. It lets them experience the feelings without completely giving into them. You cannot experience something this meaningful in a half-hearted way. You can only postpone facing it, and every delay comes with its own cost. Suppressed emotions do not vanish without a trace. They turn into restlessness and constant mental noise that is hard to quiet down. Lately, that noise has grown much stronger for them. It now affects them not only in their emotions, but also in their thinking, daily behavior, and even in physical ways they notice. Sometimes you can see it in their reduced focus, shifting moods, and strong reactions to unrelated things. An unresolved truth is rising up from inside, and it demands something they are not fully ready to offer yet. Type yes if you want me to expose how their subconscious keeps pulling them back to you. They are closer to their personal breaking point than they want to believe. Right now, something important is starting to crack inside them deeply, not on the outside where they keep a calm appearance with practiced effort. The real change is happening beneath the surface, where their mind stops pretending and where truth exists without needing any approval. Repression always carries a hidden cost, and that cost is now becoming due. The longer someone pushes down something genuine, the more powerfully it returns later. What once felt easy to manage now feels intrusive and demanding. What felt far away now feels close and immediate. What could be denied before now feels completely undeniable. When the subconscious can no longer stay contained quietly, it does not bargain gently. It breaks through in raw and direct ways they never expected. It appears in their sudden reactions, increased irritability, and in how small issues cause unusually strong frustration for no clear reason. Their ability to concentrate disappears the moment thoughts of you enter their mind without invitation. You are no longer just another person who exists in their outer life. You have become someone living inside their private inner world. And that difference changes the entire situation dramatically. External things can be avoided, set aside, or replaced. But inner realities follow a person into every quiet moment, into sleep, and into spaces they thought belonged only to themselves. Their resistance is beginning to weaken because the main question has changed for them now. It is no longer whether they feel something real. That part is already clear without doubt. The new question is what they are going to do about these strong feelings that refuse to leave. Now that is the question that scares them most because taking action means possible exposure and vulnerability, which means giving up some control they value highly. Most people spend their whole lives trying to avoid exactly this kind of situation. You cannot fully control something that has already changed you from the inside, and you have changed them in important ways that last. The shift is not surface level or short term. It has reached deeper into how they understand emotions, how they see real connection, and how they now experience your absence in daily life. Your absence has actually become louder and more noticeable than your presence ever felt before. That reality is what is wearing them down slowly, not just missing you in a simple way, but feeling your influence no matter where they are or what they do. This creates tension that refuses to go away. It keeps returning in cycles and growing stronger each time. Every effort to move on brings them back to the same deep realization that nothing else feels quite the same anymore. That quiet comparison is slowly breaking down their protective walls because everything else now seems less intense, less meaningful, and less real in comparison to you. This forces them to accept a truth they tried hard to avoid for so long. This connection cannot be replaced with anything else. Share this if you have ever been the one they tried to forget but could not. A quiet sense of panic is starting to grow inside them. It is not loud or obvious to others, but slow and steady, like something creeping forward without stopping. If something cannot be replaced, then the possibility of losing it feels very real and frightening. The fear of losing something authentic is often stronger than the fear of never having it at all. Their behavior is starting to change in ways they do not fully understand themselves. They become unpredictable and move between sudden impulses and careful restraint without a clear pattern. One part of them wants to move closer to you to end the painful tension, face the truth, and quiet the constant noise inside. But another, stronger and more trained part tells them to hold back, stay safe, and avoid anything that feels too overwhelming right now. This inner battle is draining them because neither side is ready to release its hold, creating unbearable pressure. It has moved beyond simple emotions into deeper questions about who they really are versus who they pretend to be. The version of themselves that avoids you cannot coexist forever with the version that feels you so strongly inside. One of those sides will eventually have to give way. They are finally beginning to notice their own repeating patterns of running away much more clearly than before. Now they catch themselves avoiding distractions whenever anything comes too close to the real truth they hold inside. This new self-awareness feels deeply uncomfortable because it completely removes their illusion of full control. They see their own defenses and excuses clearly now. And once you recognize your avoidance, you can no longer pretend it is not there. That realization creates intense pressure that makes going back to old habits feel almost impossible. Even the distance they keep begins to seem artificial, and their silence starts to feel like a betrayal of themselves. They are running out of safe places to hide these feelings and cannot return to a state of emotional numbness. Something basic has changed inside them forever, and that internal shift is now demanding a clear final resolution. The mind cannot sustain this level of inner contradiction for much longer without making a firm decision. They stand right at that important edge now, much closer than they are willing to admit openly. One more wave of pressure or one more failure of resistance will push them past the point of holding back. This process will not end slowly or gently. It will reach a clear breaking point where they can no longer delay facing reality. The mind can survive denial for a time, but it cannot continue under constant contradiction without giving way. They are breaking apart internally because the truth has finally surrounded them completely, leaving no easy exit. There is no escape remaining in logical arguments, new distractions, or creating more distance. The final stage of this long repression is not continued silence, but direct confrontation with what they hold. That confrontation is approaching, whether they feel ready for it or not, as the subconscious no longer waits for permission. It demands that their outer actions match their inner feelings, which currently remain in a painful and conflicting gap. This disconnect creates sharp inner pressure that forces a definitive decision to be made without further delay. Once the mind reaches this advanced stage, it refuses to settle for half measures or go quiet again without a true resolution. It is an unstoppable momentum pushing them out of the safety of their old, comfortable defenses. A clear choice is forming inside them at this very moment, developing through a silent and unavoidable understanding they can no longer run away from. This realization is permanent, completely reshaping their entire way of thinking and feeling from the inside out. Every excuse they used before now feels entirely hollow, and every delay seems artificially created. Every attempt to push these feelings away feels like a quiet betrayal of their own deepest self. People can live with pain and handle fear, but they cannot survive the slow wearing down of fighting against what they know to be true. But they cannot keep betraying their most important inner truth forever without consequences. A real choice must be made eventually. And they are finally approaching that line where avoiding you costs more than facing the situation honestly. Their resistance is growing weaker, not because they chose to let go freely, but because they can no longer find good reasons to keep holding on to their walls so tightly. Comment recognition if this explains their hot and cold behavior perfectly. The comfortable illusions of total control and the hope that time would make these feelings disappear are breaking down completely without return. Time did not remove the feelings at all. It made them clearer, stronger, and heavier than ever before, leaving them nowhere left to hide except to come out into the open fully. Inaction now feels far heavier than taking a risk with courage, and they have stopped trying to make their emotions seem smaller than they truly are. Every moment of silence and every period of distance now feels entirely unnatural and wrong. They can no longer live in this conflicted state as all their fears and desires are coming together into one unavoidable realization. Clarity has not brought them peace in any way. Instead, it has brought urgency, inner restlessness, and a constant pull that pushes them forward to act with honesty. What they feel for you is no longer weak or uncertain. It is solid, real, and impossible to leave behind without losing a vital part of themselves forever. When that suppressed truth finally breaks open, it will come back with an intensity that refuses to stay hidden any longer. Like this video, comment which part hit you hardest, and subscribe for more deep psychological truths.